We're back. Yes, we are. Great to be hanging out with you on this Tuesday, April 18th, our 1-year anniversary of Sports Take. And we thank all of you for sure. Yeah, man, it's crazy, right? Wasn't all that long ago, Gunner. We got this bad boy going, and here we are.
I think about how it all went down. Barrett conned me into it. I conned you into it. It was like the domino effect, and people don't know this is not something that just popped up and came together. This is something that was long and thought out. The conversation started before Christmas of 2021. And then I introduced you into the proper channels in February of 22, outside of the CBS 3 studios when we were wrapping up a show that we were doing.
Yeah.
And it went from there, and it went up and down, back and forth, maybe not, so on and so forth. Can we do it? I don't know. Should we do it? Yeah, but there was a lot of buts involved in here, and all of a sudden it came together, and I look at it now and I go, you know what? It was supposed to be.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, meant to be. That's for sure. Yeah, and we've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys have along the way for sure, and we hope to keep it rolling. We will do our best. That is all we can tell you. That's all we can tell you. So we talked about the Eagles and just the remarkable cap wizardry of Howie Roseman and what he's been able to do here. With these numbers again, $6.15 million will be Jalen Hurts cap hit in 2023, 13.56 in 24. 21.77 in 25 and 31.77 in 26. Now the deal goes all the way through to 2028, and who knows, what it's looking like on the back end of that in terms of, what you're locked into, guarantees and all that. But, you're able to do this by just ponying up a lot of signing bonus kind of money, and good for Jeffrey Lurie because your owner has to put that money in escrow to be able to access that.
Yeah. So see, the thing is, we're talking about the culture and the family environment, and I forgot to bring this up. So when it first started to leak out that he had the Eagles and Jalen had agreed to this deal, I reached out and texted a couple of people in the organization and said, hey, congratulations, you got a great one. And immediate response was, we are so happy for the player and for the organization. So they're happy for the player.
Yeah,
it was the first thing they said was, we are so happy for the player and the organization. And that tells you how they care about the people who work for them.
Yeah.
And I will say this is not just with the athletes, but if you talk to a lot of people within the structure of that building at the NovaCare complex, to be honest, I've never heard one person say a negative word about the work environment there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like as is the case with every type of corporation, some people may not be happy with the pay they're getting because you're lower tier, and you have two options. You either stay there faithfully and hopefully work up when job openings occur, or you use that as a platform to fine-tune your skill and you move on. And that is what has happened, just like with any other one. But a lot of people have been there 10, 12, 15 years because they love the environment they work for. They have freedom to be creative. They don't have people looking over their shoulders. And I hate to keep bringing this up, but the only time there was a lot of tension in the building was when that dude named Howie was there. I'm not Howie.
Yep.
I meant
Chip.
Chip. I meant Chip. Yeah.
Yep. No, I got
Chip
you.
was there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time there was any lingering tension throughout the building. People walked on eggshells a little bit.
Yeah.
But under Howie's tutelage, a lot of people have had freedom to be creative and to breathe easy in that building. And it says a lot. That's part of that culture as well.
Well said. All right. We got him. We talked about him. We got him.
Yeah.
Jeff Kerr, our buddy, who does an amazing job. By the way, great follow on Twitter as well, because you got links to all of the stories. But you follow him on Twitter at Jeff Kerr, CBS, NFL writer, Eagles writer as well, our buddy. What's going on, Jeff? How are you, my man?
What's going on, guys? What are we, 9 days now? It's coming.
Can't come soon enough, Jeff.
Yeah.
You get to this point where you're like, all right, how many different ways can I break this thing down, man? That's for sure. But the big story, we want to talk to you about two things, but I want to hit a couple of your latest articles because I think the running back thing is fascinating, which I want to get to in a second. But I want to get your impressions of the extension that Jalen gets with the, now knowing what the cap hit is, at least for the first 4 years. And I know you wrote about how the Eagles used the blueprint that the Chiefs used with Patrick Mahomes. So explain to folks who maybe haven't read that yet, and I suggest everybody reading it, but what that's all about.
So when the Eagles signed Hurts, and I'm hearing, all the leaks that are coming out, with the low cap hit, I'm starting to think, okay, this kind of reminds me of someone who covered the Chiefs when Mahomes' deal came out. And Mahomes had told me this like 2-3 years. I can't believe it's been 3 years since he signed now, but I have a really low cap hit those first couple of years. I'm like, whoa, how did the Chiefs pull this off? Then I realized Brett Veach came from the Joe Banner school.
Yep.
Howie Roseman came from the Joe Banner school. So obviously they're two of the best GMs in football. And so when you have a low cap hit like Mahomes, I decided to look into that 2020 and 2021 Chiefs roster, just went back in my old notes, and they had 14 of 22 starters locked in for the next 2 years, and that includes their draft picks. The Eagles had 16 of 22, and that Chiefs team was loaded. And I think a lot of Chiefs fans, I think Chiefs fans realize this, but I think a lot of NFL fans seem to forget it. Mahomes already had a Super Bowl when he signed the contract extension. In a way, it kind of was like Hurts. The Chiefs just elevated out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they're Super Bowl champions, and Mahomes gets this massive deal. So the Eagles, they came out of nowhere. Hurts goes to the Super Bowl, plays well enough to win it. He definitely played better than Mahomes did in his first Super Bowl. But Mahomes came out on top and Hurts didn't. And we all know that. But then you're looking at, okay, so the Eagles are loaded. The Chiefs are loaded. Oh, and Howie Roseman just basically did what Brett Veach did, but has more draft picks and more talent at his disposal. It's telling me that Jalen Hurts might win a Super Bowl within the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Jeff, how is it more GMs and front office people don't pick up on what Veach and how he do in terms of structuring contracts so that they're cap friendly to an organization? And in this case, you're thinking, okay, when we look at the numbers initially on Jalen Hurts, okay, the Eagles bought themselves a year. No, they have 4 years of wiggle room when you consider the new TV money coming in and the cap steadily going up every year, anywhere from 15 to 20 million. It just fascinates me how two guys have figured this out, but yet 30 other teams have not figured this out yet.
I would actually say another one kind of figured it out, but it's kind of hurt them a little bit. Jason Light in Tampa Bay. So I would sit there. Oh, by the way, another member of the Eagles front office. We're realizing this now around the league. They're hiring guys from the Eagles front office, which is why I'm kind of shocked the Giants couldn't do this with Daniel Jones. Like, why is Daniel Jones's deal so front loaded? Why is that deal? It's not benefiting them, but that also shows they're not as fully committed to him as the Chiefs are to Mahomes, the Eagles are the Hurts, that Tampa was the Brady, etc., which is where I'm going to be curious when Justin Herbert's deal comes into place or Joe Burrow's deal comes into play, because there's a blueprint there for those guys, and all you got to do is talk to Veach or Roseman. I know these guys do. Hey, what are you doing here? And I don't think they give away all their secrets. That's the real secret.
That's why would you? I mean, that's for sure, Jeff. So the other thing is, and you wrote about this, and great job, man. Fun reads all around. But you wrote about what's happening with the running back position and the way it's maybe being de-emphasized, I guess would be the best way to put it. And you cite Saquon and Zeke, et cetera, and some other guys. And let's tie this in relation to Bijan, because it's gotten a lot of juice. And I know we get to this point where we've talked about everything there is. So certain things are going to be, harped on. But there's a lot of Eagles fans that want Bijan Robinson. I happen to not be one of them. But tell us about your story and kind of where you fall on this.
I mean, there's a reason why there's only been one running back picked in the top 20 in the last 5 years, and that's Saquon Barkley. Which, by the way, Saquon Barkley was a much better running back in college than Bijan Robinson was. And this comes from someone who went to Penn State, watched Saquon Barkley play every game at Penn State, has watched every game he's played for the Giants. And Saquon Barkley was probably the most physically gifted back and in shape I've ever seen. Like, the guy squats like crazy. It's like, we talk about Jalen Hurts squatting. Look at Saquon Barkley, and he got hurt. And running backs just don't last a long time. Saquon Barkley, I noticed this in the NFC Divisional Playoff game when he had that big run against the Eagles. I'm like, Saquon Barkley from 5 years ago, that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts. And keep in mind, Saquon Barkley isn't even 27 yet. So why would you want a running back at 10? Now, if he's still there at 30 or around 30, I say you trade up and get it, but not at 10. You are not taking Bijan Robinson at 10. I'd rather take a Pierce Skoronski. I would rather take a Paris Johnson. I'll take Lucas Van Ness. I'll take Miles. I'll take anybody over Bijan Robinson at 10 right now. It's not an indictment of the player. It's an indictment of the position. And just based on that, I mean, look at Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was an amazing running back for 5 years. Where's Todd Gurley at right now?
26 years old, out of football.
Yep, 26. He's gone. It's Todd Gurley. His knees just went away, and we saw that in Super Bowl 53. It's Josh Jacobs actually looks like he's probably going to be the best of all these running backs that were taken because he's a big dude regardless, but two, I think Josh McDaniels is just going to run him into the ground until there's no more left of him. And what has he got? Maybe 2 or 3 more years?
I wouldn't touch him as good as he's been because, here's the thing, Jeff, it's not a smooth transition. It's usually fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
When it happens, when it really happens to these guys.
And from what at least I heard in Vegas from a couple people that I trust out there, Josh Jacobs was more than willing to take that franchise tag just because, okay, I'm going to have my cake and eat it too. I don't care. You guys run me into the ground. Tag me in the next 2-3 years. What do I care?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're making serious coin for a couple of years at least at that position. It's smart. Grab it.
Exactly. And I'm just trying to think of the other running backs. I mean, look at Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon was terrible last year. He just turned 30.
Yeah,
so he's done. And he was a decent first-round pick, but another one, he was in the teens. I'm trying to remember where exactly Melvin Gordon was taken.
And he was a holdout guy too, which hurt him bad.
Oh, yeah. That was probably
one of the worst move. Yeah.
I mean, Zeke went number 4, and Zeke was really good for 3 years. We saw how bad Zeke has been the last couple of years. It's because these guys just don't last. And I get the sexiness of Bijan Robinson in that offense. But it's like you guys said earlier, it's not a 2-year window now. It's a 4-year window. Why not get a guy like Skoronski who could start at guard right now, who would be better than Cam Jurgens? Oh, by the way, now you're set center. You're set at right guard. You're going to eventually be set at right tackle. You're just adding on to the best offensive line in football. Like, I'm not saying Skoronski's the guy I go with, but Bijan Robinson, I would not touch a 10.
Yeah, see, people are like hemming and hawing about when I said, hey, Paris Johnson is there visiting the team today. Don't be surprised if he's their pick at number 10. We know how this team likes to build from the inside out. While it's not the sexy pick, it is a practical pick for what they've done consistently in terms of their trench warfare.
You know just as well as I do, D-Gun. You know how they pick. I actually wrote a story on this a couple weeks ago that just look at the Eagles' top 30 visits and look at their history and what they've drafted in the first round of the draft between Banner, and Roseman's doubled down on what Banner's done. And if it's not offensive or defensive line, it's usually wide receiver. And they're not getting the wide receiver this year. So go offense, defensive line.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can look at what they may do, but I can't land on Bijan. I can't unless they're trading down. Jeff, let me ask you, I've been sort of wishful thinking, but a proponent of them trying to get up, be super aggressive here, maybe get into the mix for Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, pipe dream. Any shot you see that kind of scenario?
I don't see them trading up, but I'm not going to rule it out. I think it depends how the board plays out. Now, I do think when I did my mock draft, I don't do any trades, but it kind of gives a hint of what teams are thinking here. So you got Young at 1. I told people, Carolina, just don't overthink this.
Yep.
Draft Bryce Young. Make life easy. 2, I do think CJ Stroud should be the pick, but I think Houston's got to get a quarterback, which now comes to Jonathan Gannon. Do you trade up to 3? That way you can pick between Anderson or Carter, or do you try to trade up to 5 or 6? Because I think either Seattle or Detroit's going to get Carter or Anderson at that point. Yeah. So I think that's who you got to jump. I don't know I think that's too rich for the Eagles' blood, but if Carter's still on the board at 7 or 8, and again, the Raiders, who knows what the heck they're going to do? I have no idea. I'll tell you what, would you guys be against it? I don't think they're going to get a cornerback, but would you guys really be against getting Witherspoon?
No.
I'm not. I don't get why if you feel like a corner is that impactful that you don't take them, in that range. I don't understand. There's some people that are just against taking a corner that high. I'm not one of them. I'm good with that.
Look at J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain, 2 guys who the Eagles wanted 2 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, they went right before them. And I talked to Devonta Smith a couple days before the draft, and he made the point. He said, the Eagles want me. Like I'd love to play with Jalen. He said, I think they're going to trade up. And I said, oh, are they trading up to get you? He goes, they might. And I kind of ran with that. But it's funny. That's the last time I really heard Devonta Smith talk over the last 3 years. He doesn't say much anymore. But I mean, back to my initial point. Look at Horn. Look at Surtain. Those guys are absolute stuff. Surtain might be the best cornerback in football now. Can you imagine if the Eagles would have gotten him and paired him with Slay?
Jeez.
Get Witherspoon. He might be the best cornerback in this draft.
You cannot have enough young cornerbacks in today's game, and because they got through unscathed last year, both Bradbury and Slay, doesn't mean it could happen again in 23. I mean, let's face it, this game that we watch and love and cover is day to day, year to year. And if you have one of these guys down for a significant period of time, that could be a significant drop off in terms of who steps in. You groom a young corner, like a high valued corner, like a Witherspoon, he's going to have some growing pains, as all rookies do, but you have a guy in there that you're already grooming who's getting valuable reps to be the heir apparent eventually, whether it's next year or 2 years down the road.
And you know as well as I do, D-Gun, you covered that 03 Eagles team very well.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember when everybody got hurt? Ryan Dawkins, Troy Vincent, Bobby Taylor, and you're like, okay, wait, the Eagles are really going to try to win games with unproven Leo Shepard, unproven Sheldon Brown, unproven Clinton Hart, and that is the reason they went 12-4, went on that 9-game winning streak, because that offense definitely wasn't doing it. I mean, yeah, they had the three-headed monster, but that was a terrible offense. I mean, they had a terrible year. That defense saved them.
Mm-hmm. And then look at how quickly, once those guys, Sheldon Brown and Alito, got that valuable experience, Troy Vincent, gone. Bobby Taylor, gone. Al Harris, gone. Because the organization identified, okay, we can move forward with these young guys. So you get a guy like Witherspoon, if he gets 15, 20 plays a game, whether it's at a nickel spot or wherever the case may be, that's valuable experience in terms of turning the corner, because as we all know, every team's trying to get younger every year instead of getting older.
And here's the thing. After Slay, after Bradbury, after Maddox, who's your cornerback? Zach McPherson. Are we really going to do that? Zach McPherson? Are we really going to go, pipe down that? I don't know. I would feel so much better if they drafted a Witherspoon, a Skoronski, like you said, Paris Johnson. By the way, I love watching Paris Johnson on tape.
Yes.
He was a stud at Ohio State.
Hey, Jeff, what any sense of what the fall may be for Jalen Carter in terms of some of the off the field stuff, or are you hearing everything's checking out here? We know the Eagles do a great job vetting. I'm just curious what the league thoughts are.
It's interesting because I think the Eagles set the precedent here because, as we know, the Eagles like to handle a lot of things. And if the Eagles trust him, I think other organizations are like, well, okay, they don't see a problem with him. And this is why I think he's going to end up with Seattle or Detroit. I just don't think they care. Regardless, they're looking at the player, they're looking at the fit, and I think Detroit's looking at that 6th pick is like, man, we're a luxury pick. If 4 of the first 5 guys are quarterbacks, we're getting Jalen Carter. I mean that's just how I'm looking at the situation. Then you got Seattle. It's John Snyder's known to make bold moves, so again, that's what makes this tough. I think around the league, I think it's an issue, but it's not like this waving red flag that everybody's making it out to be.
What do you think might be the biggest shocker in the first round of the draft coming up this year in terms of teams moving up and down, or players that might go higher or lower than you're anticipating?
That's a tough one. Ooh, that's a very good question. How about, you know what? I did my mock draft, Will Levis to the Titans. How about he falls to 11 and the Titans don't have to trade? That would be an interesting one. I actually think the Eagles moving up would be 1-2, believe it or not. Or the whole Peter King rumor. Did you guys hear that about Pittsburgh potentially moving up to get Jalen Carter? They want to see if they can get in the top 10. That would be interesting. I think there is going to be a team that makes like that bold move to 3. I just don't know what team that's going to be.
I was really surprised. Like Peter also said he thought Bijan would be a good pick for the Eagles. He thinks that I mean, again, that's just his opinion, not what he's hearing necessarily from the Eagles. But that surprised me a little bit from a guy who has covered the league as long as he had and seen the way the league's kind of changed in terms of the running back position. But it's not just Peter. It's a lot of a lot of people's opinions I respect, like Peter Schrager of the NFL Network. Now he does his mock drafts, guys, not based on film, based on talking to GMs and personnel people. That's how he does it. This is what I'm hearing from so-and-so. He mocked Bijan to the Eagles at 10. Like it's kind of crazy, man. It's not just, speculation for fans. These are other folks saying this.
I told people too when I wrote the top 30 thing, like I said why they wouldn't do it, but I would agree with any fan who countered me and said, well, he's also the only running back they've interviewed. And I said, see, I'm like, that there's something in there. Like, they know he's a top 3 player in this draft. I'll tell you guys straightforward, he's a top 3 player in this draft. But just based on the running back since 2015, I mean, the only reason I didn't put 2013 or 2014 in there because there were no running backs drafted in the first round those years. So,
right. And their history too, Jeff, not just the league. They don't go first round. I mean, the last first rounder was Keith Byers, and before that it was Michael Haddix. I know there are people listening to us don't even know who either one of them are. That's how long ago this was.
Can we just say any draft pick from the Marion Campbell era we could just throw out the window? I mean, I know Reggie White was in the supplemental draft, but still, that doesn't.
Not a great period for the Birds after Vermeil and before Buddy. It was not a great time. I lived it. It's not fun. No.
By the way, did you guys see on Super 70 Sports the other day that famous Twitter account where it's like, oh, put a picture of an athlete in a jersey like that just doesn't look great. I put Reggie White in a Packers jersey.
Yeah, Carolina at the end.
Oh, Carolina at the end. I'm like, I almost forget he played for Carolina.
Randall in a Dallas jersey. I mean,
Randall in a Ravens jersey.
Yeah, it shouldn't happen. None of that stuff. Jeff, good stuff, man. Again, if you get a chance, check out your last 2-3 are just killers, man. But check out Jeff on Twitter at Jeff Kerr CBS. Really, really good stuff, Jeff. We appreciate the knowledge.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me on. I got a couple good ones later this week. I'm ranking top. I think it's tight ends and wide receivers that were picked in the first round since 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the tight end one, like, I'm waiting for people to say Travis Kelce was a first round pick to me, and I'm just gonna laugh at them.
Well, I think there's 2 studs in this year. I think the kid Kincaid from Utah and Mayer from Notre Dame are absolute beasts. I love them both.
I was going to joke with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I interviewed him this week, and I was going to joke with him. You guys should take Dalton Kincaid, right? And I didn't do it. I decided to bait him in why he thought Slade was like really good. So that ended up working well.
Nice. All right, good stuff, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, guys.
All right, take care. That's Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports. Yeah. We're actually going to do tight ends today, Derek. Speaking of,
yes, indeed,
our preview. We run through our positions here, man. There's not many positions left. I know you're dying for our punter breakdowns. I know that you
that ain't happening. We ain't doing that, man. Come on,
pining away for us to do punter breakdowns. Which, look, I don't care how they come about it. I don't care if it's late in the draft. I don't care if it's a free agent. I don't care if it's some guy they find on some island somewhere. I need to see someone else other than Aaron Sippos. Okay. I can't emphasize this enough.
And what are you going to do if it's Sippos, bro? What are you going to do?
I am going to do everything I can to get him fired. Okay.
See,
those
you
powers
tried,
that I have.
You tried to last year. It didn't work. You know what? So your success ratio is now at 99%, not 100.
He's been Teflon. He's the only guy who survived. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't think that they will do it. I trust in the Eagles that this guy will not be, or at least it's going to be a competition. I couldn't believe that last year that there wasn't in camp a competition at that spot.
I know, man. I'm telling you. And then, well, when you think about it, when he was hurt, you look at what they brought in, it was 100 times worse than what they already had.
I know.
So be careful what you ask for now. Be careful.
You're right. All right.
There's not a lot of great punters sitting out there.
That's true. That we found that out. We'll do some Sixers, Derek. They go up 2-0. And we'll mix in a little Phillies who got postponed, who will play a doubleheader today. Our NFL segment, a lot of things to get into. DeMar Hamlin update, which quarterback's next in line for that extension. Mahomes update, the GM in Houston, Hendon Hooker, where he's visiting. And like I said, we'll get into the tight ends, but we'll come back. It'll be a little Sixers, little Phils. All right. He's Derek. I am Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Time for me to tell you right now about the great folks at Pro Action Restoration. Yes, Pro Action Restoration. If you have a home, you have a business, you have a property you own, you go through the pain, the inconvenience, the fear of smoke, water, mold damage, you name it, fire. Pro Action Restoration's on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist you. I can tell you that from personal experience because I called them on a Saturday. They got out to my parents' house. They fixed what was a flood in their basement and cleaned it up. Great price, very professional crew. Couldn't have been better. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action Restoration will work in conjunction with your insurance company. So again, it could be water, could be fire, could be smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.